Hello, I'm Cookie Stoner, and welcome to Cookie Stoner Presents. I am here with Lisa Ordway, the wardrobe mistress for the Huntsville Ballet, and we've been talking a lot about being on-site wardrobe, Lisa, and how important it is to make these from scratch. How long, I think we said that one costume, if we get 10 years out of it, we're good. It has to be made like a brick house, but yet the dancers have to be able to move. You
Correct.
use beautiful fabrics like this silk.
Correct.
But let's talk a little bit about you. We want to start with, how does this all start? You said Philip has a vision. And tell us who Philip is.
Philip is our artistic director. Philip is
The artistic director.
The head guy
The
here.
the head guy here. So
He
Philip
is.
gets an idea when a performance, when you're planning the
He
season.
decides, he sits down and figures out what our season will be. And the sooner he can figure that out, the better for me.
Because you're always working. I noticed that.
I'm always working.
You're preparing. You said once your spring performance ended,
Right.
you start preparing
For Nutcracker.
for the Nutcracker.
Right.
Which is in,
That is
as we all know,
correct.
what, November, December.
December, correct.
Then you're also getting ready for Unplugged and
Yeah.
and any fall
At
performance.
some point
you
during the
fit those
summer,
in.
I mean, I'll decide what I want to do for Nutcracker and try to get that done before I have to stop and work on Unplugged.
So he brings you the vision and says, or he talks to you about the vision. And then
does.
you and he work so well together. And something we talked about, is it okay, or either of you influenced by performances you have seen?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's okay.
Absolutely.
And
And
you don't have to reinvent the wheel every
No,
time.
you don't. And I think that, you get an idea from looking at, and a lot of research goes into it. I can't even imagine what Philip goes through to get to his final art, to the choreography and how everything looks on stage. But I know from my point of view, when I sit down with him, generally I have already researched it so I can have some kind of intelligent conversation with him about different characters and how he wants to portray them. Sometimes he wants to do it in a different genre. He might want to do something that's set, in Renaissance time, to be set in the 50s, or there's that. There's
So
time
then
period.
you have to think of that.
You have to think of that. So you think of time period. So we get all of that sort of taken care of. And I listen to him, and I listen to him talk about the ballet that he sees. And from there, I generally come up with a story, with a costume story.
Now, I did notice in here, and which was
Oh.
fascinating to me, you start drawing things out.
I just
or
start
some of the
drawing things
visions.
out, and sometimes I can replicate this. I mean, this is sort of my phantom in the masquerade scene, because generally he's all in black with a white puffy shirt, and he's gorgeous. And if you've ever seen that movie,
Yes.
yeah,
The movie, and I saw it I saw it on Broadway.
On Broadway.
So let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about Phantom, okay?
Okay.
So this piece right here, which is totally fascinating. We talked a lot about working from scratch.
Right.
We talked a lot about repurposing.
Correct.
This piece right here, you went to storage, and y'all got a storage facility that had.
We do.
The Huntsville Ballet was started in 1963. 62 or 63. I think around the year I was born. I think I was. I think it was around 62 or 63. Now, and you said this was actually from the first director.
This was a Lloyd Tyget costume, and it was used. I've actually had some of the dancers who were in company with him come in and identify a lot of the ballets and pieces. So this one was identified.
This one was actually identified as
the comedians. So it's a Greek tragedy, and there are 3 of these costumes down there. They're all different, but this one says to me. This one looks.
No, we're going to
me,
repurpose them and tell them what this means to you.
It looks devilish to me. I mean, it's red, it's black, it looks sort of sinister. So
And very imposing.
I'm going to try to repurpose this to use for Phantom's cape when he comes out in masquerade, because I see him in red and black. Now, this was my original thought on him. and
So this was your original thought before you.
before this.
Before
So
you
I probably
found the
won't.
costume.
If I can get this to work, I won't put him in a black. He won't be in a black cape for this particular part.
So that leads us to where you're now putting your mark, or Huntsville Ballet's mark, on this performance. This is going to be something unique that you wouldn't
Correct.
see in another performance,
Right.
Because you've taken a costume, I guess the correct word.
Mm-hmm.
You've taken something, and something you did tell me was, you said because you didn't want to ruin this, but
No.
you wanted to use it. You can take out different scenes
sure.
and do different
right.
things to it.
I mean, I'm not going to do anything to
Harm the
destroy
integrity or destroy
its
it.
integrity, but I can pick apart a seam and be able to use it in a way that
So
there are
when we
people
see
that
this
have
up
been
on the-
around that will look and say, oh, I know what that is. I remember that.
I remember that.
I remember that.
Or someone will say, wow, I've never seen that.
Or I've never seen
on
that.
stage with
And
Phantom
as I was
before.
telling you before, in many of Mr. Tygett's costumes, because he was a Renaissance man. I mean, he did it all. He painted backdrops, he made costumes, and he painted fabric to look how he wanted it to look. And if you are familiar with the Ballet Russe, you see that influence in his costuming and in his scenery and everything. So a
this is-
question that you had earlier, do you look at other things? Of course you do, because you need to get sort of a feeling from things that have gone on in the
And
past.
be influenced in
And be influenced.
a positive way.
But
perhaps.
do yourself. So the Phantom, this is just a tuck. This is a cutaway, but Phantom wears a cutaway.
Exactly. And you
And
said these are just jodhpurs
they're jodhpurs
that can move. So these will be
yeah,
something.
these are. I love these. My son was in Little Mermaid last spring, and I used jodhpurs for him the whole time,
could move around
so he could move around and dance, and and they look good, and jodhpurs look
jodhpurs
good
look
on guys.
good. Yeah.
And to me, in a period ballet, they look better than putting a guy in tights.
I agree
It's
with you.
more-
I think
but-
these are. I actually like these.
But I do
want
too.
to know where
I
you
do
got
too.
these. I want to
I
wear
got 'em
these.
out of the UK.
I love them. I love them. Okay, let's
So
move up
capes, and then
to-
of course, there's the iconic Phantom, and so his beautiful mask. We'll have to pad
You
it.
said you're gonna have
and
to pad it and do
we'll
all
have to
sorts of
pad it and do
things.
all sorts of things, and he's going to wear a wig and.
Now, we want to also say we will be talking about the season, but Phantom is in October.
It is.
It is in October, so that's
and it is
we'll
in
we'll
our
talk about
Unplugged.
the entire season.
Madame
That
Giry.
is-
This reminds me of Madame Giry because she was
oh.
very Victorian
Very,
and
yes.
kind of stiff. This is a dress. This is an old ballet dress, and Christine wears pink in some of the things. So and this is handmade. I mean, these are all handmade.
handmade.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to be able to change the neckline and use this for Christine. And this, and we have a bunch of these, and this would be the Corps de Ballet, which you see her best friend Meg and all
Yes.
the girls. So this reminds me of the Corps de Ballet.
So you go and find. This is what I want to get to. I'm
and
so
this,
excited.
well, this is, we may be doing a piece called Paracat, which the company
us about this
did.
piece.
The company did many, many years ago, in the early 70s. And there was a couple named the Gregorys that they were very famous in Europe, and they were coming through the United States, stopped here, and set a piece on the company, and it was Paracat. We still have Linda Soleil is a lady who lives here, and I think she's working with us some in the fall. She was in it, and this is one of the dresses that
You said this actually had to be.
It was handmade by Mrs. Soleil at the time, and Mrs. Gregory stood over Mrs. Soleil and told her exactly how to make this so that it was an exact replica of what
the
they had used in Europe on the original resetting of the Paracat.
So this is like
So-
an apostolic.
No,
this
it's
is like,
gorgeous.
yeah, this
It's
is
beautiful.
it.
But it's
Beautiful.
old, and we can't really use it. But what we can use it for is
To get your
inspiration.
vision. And
so
you said this
the color,
one, the ballet pink, which
the ballet pink. Now, see, at one time this had something else underneath it because it was very full.
Mm-hmm.
And the old you remember how the old ballets, very full, and they're big poofy, and they were all about their shoulders and So this, I wanted it to be a certain color.
Come back over here.
I wanted it to be the old ballet pink. So I
Which is
had
just
to
beautiful.
mix
everybody knows I'm all about
different
some ballet
colors of
pink.
tulle, peach tulle and pink tulle to come up with
To
this
come up with that.
that color. So it's under production and
Under production, but
Yeah,
this
but
is what
that's-
you're, because you think y'all are going to be bringing it
Correct.
back. So this is why you got to this part.
right. And there are 4 skirts, pas de quatre, it's for 4. So so we'll see. I hope that we'll be seeing this in the fall.
I hope you will too, because as I said, I'm all about some ballet pink. So, you know, when we come in here and we're talking about what you all are doing, I told you yesterday, you know, even though we know that logically, when you actually talk to the person who takes and constructs and puts all this time in all of the costumes, and then you see on stage, however many at one time, you realize
Right.
the time, the money, what all goes into a performance. Not just the hours of learning to
It's
dance.
not just the construction too. It's what I think my biggest job is, that I paint a picture with fabric on stage. Everything has to go together. You can't have something that's very pale and then something that's very bright. It's got
It's
to have a color
complement
story.
each other.
Right.
Something you said yesterday, and I think we'll kind of end on this, is you said that your costuming cannot interfere or upstage
Right.
the actual ballet or any of the performance or the dancers.
Correct. You know, my my first thing is I always want to be the best.
Of course you do. Yeah, I was going to
Prettiest,
say, except
but-
that you said you really like to do that. But
I really like to do that.
You
But
really like to
you
do it.
can't. If you are successful, people notice the costumes, but they're not all about the costumes. They see the dancers. And that's my job, is to build a costume that shows the body and that is not such a costume that you don't
not
see
over the
what
top.
that body is doing and you don't see the choreography. If all you walk away with was, oh my gosh, the costumes were gorgeous, of course I'm going to be happy with you, but I haven't done my job.
But that's not what your job. So your job here at the Huntsville Ballet, which I think you do very well, and I know that Philip and those of the others I've met here were like, you've got to meet Lisa. You've got to go sit in and talk with her. And I am hooked. Now, I don't think I want to sew, but I do want to wear one of these. I'm telling you, I'm all about it. But I do love as I said, what you do from beginning to end, your vision. Thank you for letting us come in here.
Absolutely. Well,
You-
come dance with
Oh,
us for Nutcracker.
I'm going to. I think I could.
We put real women.
Real women up there. I
In
am.
fact, they
So,
talked me, my entire family, into being
I think I'm going
Nutcracker.
to. Okay, I think I'm going to. I think
Um,
I'm going to do
last
it. I
year.
think.
Yeah.
So, and you'll make a good sturdy costume for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, it won't be quite like that.
It won't be kind of like that, even maybe a little bit of silk. Lisa, thank you again. I
welcome.
appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. And the Huntsville
Absolutely.
Ballet. This is the vision you see on stage. The lady who makes it all happen, even though she has volunteers and a staff who helps her. This is the lady who makes it all happen right here.
Thank you.
The Huntsville Ballet. Thank you.